Okay, so today I'm going to talk about how thinking big can actually work against you, or we confuse thinking big actually with staying small. So I've been working with thousands of entrepreneurs in my career as, a mentor, a coach, whatever you want to call it, in the last 2 decades. And when I compare like the highly successful entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs who oftentimes they just keep on struggling, it's oftentimes because the entrepreneurs who keep on struggling, they think that they think big, but the reality is they just stay small because they think big. And then we have the entrepreneurs who really break through. So for example, if you would compare a six-figure info entrepreneur, so somebody like a coach, a mentor, a guru, a trainer, a speaker, a consultant, and they're like six figures, let's say 100,000, 200,000. It can be comfortable for people, but oftentimes it's quite uncomfortable to stay stuck at that level. And then you have the seven-figure coaches who do like 1 million plus with their business, and they're just really, really comfortable because they're really successful. What's the difference between like a six-figure coach or a seven-figure coach? And oftentimes it is what I'm going to talk about today. Oftentimes it's the bigger thinkers, it's the more creative entrepreneurs, it's the entrepreneurs who really follow their gut feeling, it's the entrepreneurs who come up with a lot of amazing new ideas. Those are the entrepreneurs that stay stuck. And then we have the entrepreneurs, which is the minority of, especially when it comes to coaches and mentors, who actually break through to seven figures or even eight figures. And those entrepreneurs, they also have a lot of new ideas. They're also very creative, and they also want to follow their gut intuition, their gut feeling. But oftentimes they simply don't. So I love Keith Cunningham. Keith Cunningham is one of the greatest business teachers, I think, in the world. The book Rich Dad Poor Dad is actually based on his teachings. And he has these cool sayings that really make you think. And in his book, The Road Less Stupid, he actually has 200 thinking time questions. So I would highly suggest you buying that book. I bought that book over 100 times for my clients. And it has 200 thinking time questions. And those thinking time questions, they actually make you think. However, today, in these days, a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't really think that much anymore, because they just live and they just do, and they just really in this gray area of this foggy area of just information all the time, and never really having the peace of mind and the clarity to make the right decisions. Like the situation that you are in right now, it's an accumulation of all the decisions that you've made in the past up until this moment. And that made you really watch this right now and be in the position where you're at right now. Maybe you're highly successful. Maybe you're already free. Maybe you're super happy. Maybe life has been unbelievable for you and always amazing. Or maybe it's been quite rough, and maybe it's been challenging, and maybe you've been struggling, and maybe you're like, man, where is my breakthrough? Well, today I'm going to reveal some of these ideas that might actually give you this breakthrough. So if we compare those two categories, the entrepreneur who's very creative, a lot of new ideas, wants to follow their gut intuition and just does a lot of stuff. Those are the entrepreneurs that oftentimes do a lot of stuff that actually backfires. Going back to Keith Cunningham, he has this idea that for a lot of entrepreneurs, if they actually on January 1st make the decision, like, I'm going to do nothing this year, literally nothing, like, I'm just going to sit on my hands, I'm going to do nothing, that they actually would be more successful than if they would do a lot of stuff. At least they would be less unsuccessful if they would do a lot of stuff. A lot of entrepreneurs, they come up with this new idea today, and they learn by whatever, social media, hustle culture, like, okay, you just got to do, you got to take action. Yes, oftentimes it's a good idea to take action, but imagine taking the wrong turns all the time, but making a lot of progress into going into the wrong turns. Well, you are very active, you're working very hard, but you're actually going backwards. Imagine, so for example, this weekend we went to Düsseldorf. Düsseldorf is a city in Germany. And imagine me being in the car. It's like a 2.5 hour drive. And I decide like, I'm not gonna think, I'm just gonna take action. I'm just gonna go into that direction. And I don't even know which direction it is. Will I go backward? Yes or no? Oftentimes you will go backward when you don't really think things through. So you have the six-figure entrepreneur, and they could actually be more successful if they would do nothing, because oftentimes they take a lot of actions into the wrong direction. And then you have the 7-figure entrepreneurs, and they're highly intelligent in the choices that they're actually making. So and I reference Keith Cunningham in this talk quite a bunch, because he says business is an intellectual sport. And that's the beauty of business. You can grow every year in business as an entrepreneur. You can become wiser, more successful. You can really grow as an entrepreneur if you make the decision to become more intelligent business-wise. Instead of just doing. And there's a lot to say about doing, and I love just really doing. If you know like this is the right thing, then you want to do, but you don't want to just do whatever you want to do when you don't have a good strategy or don't have a good idea on what's best for your business. First, it's so important to know like, yeah, this is the direction that I want to go into. And a lot of entrepreneurs, they just do whatever they feel like in that moment they want to do. And they don't really have a lot of progress. Again, Keith Cunningham has a saying, he talks about gut feeling. We're very proud to trust our gut intuition, and oftentimes we're very proud to follow our gut feeling. But oftentimes, and this is not a popular thing to say, but oftentimes this gut feeling is simply wrong. It's not intelligence, it's something else, and this something else, this gut feeling, is oftentimes not good for making decisions in business. If you look at, for example, Warren Buffett, the most successful investor of all times, he sort of does the opposite of what everybody else is doing. Everybody else is following their gut feeling, and their gut feeling, whenever things are crashing, the gut feeling is, oh man, we got to get rid of this because this is a sinking ship. And so Warren Buffett buys when people are greedy, and they sell when people actually are in a scarcity mindset. And so it's our gut feeling when something is sinking, like you want to get off this sinking ship. So our gut feeling would say that we got to get rid of it. So gut, G-U-T, stands for, and this is a Keith Cunningham phrase, gave up thinking. And again, going back to the 6-figure coach or maybe even 5-figure coach, they're struggling. Why are they struggling? Because they follow their gut intuition and they take action upon that gut intuition. And what does their gut intuition tell them? We have to create more products. More products. I got this question from this client, and he or she has this idea about this, and I was like, yeah, let's sell this. Or I just had this new epiphany breakthrough on a personal level, and I do want to create a new coaching course for my clients, or whatever it is. So we add on new stuff in our business, and we keep on creating new business models, and then we want to sell those business models or those new products, those new courses, those new ideas. We want to sell that to our base, and we confuse this with big thinking. More products, more ideas, all that stuff. We confuse that with big thinking. Big thinking in this case would actually be like, yeah, you did a lot of stuff, you tried a lot of stuff, and you figured out like, okay, this is the product, or this is the niche, or this is the category, or this is the course, or whatever it is that fits best and that works best and that sells the most easy. People buy this easily. You want to sell something that people buy easily. They're like, okay, I want to have that. That's great, and have great results with that. And then ideally you want to narrow down to that one product that you're selling, maybe 2 products that you're selling, and then you want to go deep with that product. Instead of having like €100 product and sell it 100 times and then have 10 other €100 products and sell those 100 times, ideally you want to have one for example, €100 product, could be €1,000 product, could be a €10,000 product, could be a €100,000 product. But you want to have this one product, and I call this the freedom product. It's a freedom product that can actually give you freedom. And you don't want to sell it 100 times, you want to sell it 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, maybe tens of thousands of times. And you want to make it amazing. You want to make the product amazing, but you want to make the marketing material amazing, and you want to make the marketing of the marketing material amazing. And you want to keep improving it and keep scaling it. So, and that is big thinking. Selling one product, making it the best product, making the best marketing material, and then making the best marketing for that marketing material, and then scale to the moon for years and years and years and years. That is actually big thinking. Our gut feeling wouldn't say like, oh, this is big, this feels big. It feels actually small, and it's very counterintuitive, because if we follow our intuition, we create all these different products. However, by creating all these different products, it's not just making a product. Then you have to make marketing material, and then you have to make marketing for the marketing material, and then you have to scale all these different things, and then you have to create a bigger team. It's funny. You can have a 7-person team if you're a coach, because you're thinking big and you're struggling, or you can have you can be a solopreneur, or maybe you have one right-hand man or one right-hand woman who actually scales your offer to the moon for years and years and years. You're just with the two of you, and you have a multi-7-figure business. And that's bigger thinking than expanding with more people in your team, because there's just more management, because there's more products. So this is super counterintuitive. It's so counterintuitive to do this, but if you would actually do this and really figure out like, this is the product that I'm gonna sell for years and years and years and years and years, that's actually way bigger thinking than going super broad. I'm gonna share one story when it comes to this. One experience of mine where I really had this epiphany moment. It's 18 years ago. So in 2007, I became successful in 2007. I started selling online in 1999, but I really became successful in 2007. In 2007, I made my first million online. And most of my sales came from one product. So I had a product, and it's called the Business in a Box. And there were 8 binders, 8 DVDs, and 8 CDs. And in this Business in a Box, I was teaching people how to build a successful online business. So how to write sales pages, how to create a product, how to do ads, how to do email marketing, how to work with affiliates, all that stuff. And it was really an amazing product. And it was like, it didn't exist in the Netherlands. Nobody was teaching this, and I had these 8 binders, 8 DVDs, and 8 CDs. And in the beginning, I sold it for €1,000, and later on, I sold it for €2,000. And became highly successful with this. And with info products, I mean, the margins are really amazing. So it's really awesome to have an info product business, because the margins are really amazing. And then I started doing seminars, and I became more successful, and I started to believe that I was really a great entrepreneur. So in 2008, I was following my gut intuition, and my gut intuition was like, man, this internet thing, it's really amazing, and we gotta go all in. We started doing drop shipping, selling a lot of other digital courses. I started multiple software companies, and I grew my business. My team went from 3 or 4 people up to 17 people, physically in a location in the north of the Netherlands here. And this is from 2007 to 2008. So I went from having a lifestyle business, which is not necessarily big thinking, it's a lifestyle business. I wanted to become that successful entrepreneur. So we grew with our business. So my team grew. But in the same year, in 2008, I had this mantra. And this mantra was, there's no business without a backend. You need a backend if you want to have a big business. Now all we sell is a €2,000 product. So the maximum that somebody can pay with us or buy with us is only €2,000. So we got to create a bigger backend so people can invest more money, and so we can become more successful. So in 2008, I launched a drop shipping course. Those were 3 big binders, 16 DVDs, 16 CDs. I was selling the Entrepreneur Starter Kit, how to become an entrepreneur. Multiple binders, multiple DVDs, multiple CDs. I had the business in a bag. It was a multiple binders and DVDs about email marketing, and it was shipped in a bag, a travel bag. I thought that was a good idea. We had the time management course with 12 CDs, which is funny. People had to listen for 12 CDs to listen to a time management course. I had the Power Sellers Premium, which is like a 97 euro membership where we were teaching about internet entrepreneurship. We had Power Goals Premium, which was a 15 euro a month membership for personal development. I had the Momentum Method. It was a 1,000 euro online course about personal development. We were doing multiple events. So I had a 5,000 euro event in 2008. We did multiple weekends, and I can keep going and going and going. No business without a backend was my mantra. So we created all these different courses, and most of these courses were physical courses. And where we located these courses was in, I rented two top floors of a building in Groningen in the Netherlands. And then the bottom floor which was our distribution center. So that's where we located like all these different courses, and the order value of everything that was there was millions of euros. So if you would add up all the order values of all the courses that we had over there, it was millions of euros. And 2008 came, I was super productive. I was thinking big. That's what I was telling myself. I was working very hard. I was working harder than ever before. Many late nights up until like 3 a.m., whatever, recording all these courses. I was creating all the marketing material for all these courses. I was doing all these launches, everything. Then I had my team. We were advertising. We were doing all the things that you have to do when you're a big thinker. At the same time, because we're launching so much stuff, and if you have a limited amount of time, as we all have, like not everything is the greatest quality. So my brand was evaporating a little bit. It was just not really getting better. And if you keep launching all those courses, like people get a little bit blind to whatever you're doing. So the results, they became less and less and less and less. And I wasn't sharp anymore. Then I had my team, and it wasn't functioning well because I was just the worst entrepreneur at that time. Like I was hiring everybody left and right without even having interviews. It was just really bad. And in 2007, I made around €1 million. And then in 2008, I was heading towards a burnout. And late in 2008, I was like, you know what? I've been very busy this year. Let me look at the numbers, because one thing is for certain, is that I can't pay my bills. I can't pay my taxes. I can't pay my team. We get a lot of refunds. Like things are not working well. I've been working really hard, and I don't think like working harder is going to solve this problem. So let me be really brave and do something that is against my gut intuition. Let me actually look at the numbers. So I looked at the numbers, and I saw that, and in 2008 we also did around 1 million. So we did 1 million in 2007, and in 2008 we also did around 1 million. However, in 2007, we did 1 million with about one product. And in 2008, we did 1 million with like 12 different products and a big ass team. So I looked at the numbers, and I would think that it would be evenly, the ratio would be evenly distributed. So 12 products, 8 to 10, 15% per product would be the share in the revenue. However, I found out like 65 or even 70% of all the sales came from one product. And that one product was the product that we sold the year before. And that was the business in a box. So I was doing all these different launches. I worked so hard. And 65% or 70% of all the sales came from one product. And the rest was like 11 different other products. And it made me realize like, wow, like I've been working really hard, but I haven't been making more money, and I've been more stressed out and like all the things. What would happen if I would rigorously start cutting in my products? So that was idea number one. And then the second idea was like, what would happen if, because I had 17 people in my team at that point, what would happen if I start to apply clean slate thinking with my team as well? Who would I hire again if I had to start all over? And the answer was one person. There was one person in my team that was actually really, really valuable and really a right-hand man, and he really helped me grow my business. But the rest, they were just costing energy and costing a lot of money. So I made this extreme decision that one, I'm going to quit working with everybody in my team because, I mean, they're simply not A players. They're good people, they're fun, not everybody, but most of them were fun, but they were just not really A players and they were not really helping grow the business. And then the second thing, which was even harder actually, not sure if it was harder, but it was a bolder move, I would say, is I had all these different products that I created in 2008. And I was so proud of those products and they really looked awesome. And it was my blood, sweat and tears I poured into all of these products. And then I made the decision which was against my intuition and against my gut feeling, but it was an intelligent decision. I am going to quit selling all of these products. And the next year, 2009, I'm going to focus on selling one product. And it's the same product as the business in a box. I'll improve it, I'll make it better, but I have the proof that people want to buy this. I have the proof that people enjoy this, and it's easy. I have the proof that actually it's easy to market. So I made the decision to go from the mantra, no business without a backend, all these backend products, because I thought that was big thinking, and I went back to selling one product with one person in my team. And that year, 2009, and let me go back first before I'll talk about 2009, how we became really successful in 2009 and beyond. I made the decision to stop selling those courses, but not only did I make the decision to stop selling those courses, I made the decision to destroy all of those courses. So and I was sharing a couple minutes before that we rented the top 2 floors for my team, and we rented the bottom floor, which was the distribution center of all of my products. And I made the decision to actually destroy millions and millions of euros worth of products. And we actually had like a garbage truck. We had to rent a garbage truck for 300 euros. And it was a Monday morning, and the garbage truck, he stopped in front of our office. And we grabbed all these binders, tens of thousands of DVDs, millions of pages, and we all dumped them into the garbage truck. I worked for a full year, like more than full time, on creating all of these courses, and we got rid of everything, millions of euros worth, and we just deleted it. And it was very painful in that moment. However, because we deleted everything, we destroyed everything, all the focus was back on one product. And this one product, in 2009, it made me another million plus. But I went from 17 people to one person. I went from 12 products to one product. And in 2009, I had my life back. Like, I had my health back. I had my freedom back. We traveled for 5 months in that year. I married my wife. I bought my dream car. And I was creative again. I was doing cool events. Like, I was doing a lot of cool things. I was very creative on social media. Like, it was really, really awesome because I had my freedom back. I think if you're a creative entrepreneur, what you want to do is you want to keep it as light as possible. I think if you are a creative entrepreneur, big thinking is actually keeping it light. And if you keep it light, then it's easy to scale. Like, you can't scale something that is heavy, and you don't want to scale something that is heavy. You want to scale something that is light. So if you can keep it light for yourself, preferably sell one or maybe 2 different products and make the decision, if they sell well, to sell this for years and years and years, then all of a sudden you have so much mental bandwidth and you have so much space in your calendar, and there's also so much more financial peace because your costs are lower. Plus there's almost no management because, I mean, if you keep it light, there's not that much to manage. Then you have this opportunity to think big and make way more impact. And then we are very creative. The last thing that I'm saying right now is that you should limit your creativity. I would say double down on your creativity. However, don't double down on your creativity in your business model. You want to have a simple business model, but then you want to apply all of your creative energy into the marketing of you and the marketing of this product. That's where the real goal is. And what I mean with the goal is. What I mean with marketing the product is be extremely prolific and extremely creative and unique with your content creation. You can't be too creative with your content creation. Be extremely prolific or extremely creative with the marketing material of your product. You can't be too creative or too prolific when it comes to the marketing material. But you don't want to change the back end of your business, the delivery of your product too much. You want to improve, you want to make it better, but you want to go all in. You want to apply all of your creative power and all of your creative energy into the front end of your business, meaning content creation, video, social media posts, ads, webinars, like launches, challenges, all that stuff. You want to be extremely creative there, and you want to have your business model, it just needs to be solid. It's okay to have a very boring business model. Maybe you even want to have a boring business model, but you want to be extremely creative on the front end, and that's bigger thinking. So bigger thinking with your back end, it's a big problem that we can make. Changing the back end all the time, it's a big problem. It's not big thinking, it's actually really being distracted and not really having a clear vision to go for something. If you know for a fact like this is something that's super valuable, this is something that sells well, I want to launch this and I want to do this for years and years and years. And if you can sit on your hands for a couple of years when it comes to the business model, knowing that it's a good business model, but going all in with your marketing, your sales, your content creation, all that stuff, that's actually big thinking. Big thinking doesn't mean you need a big team. Big thinking doesn't mean you need a lot of different products. Big thinking oftentimes is really being intelligent about the business and zooming out a little bit and looking at the business, look at the numbers and know like, okay, this is actually what moves the needle and let me go all in on this. And sometimes or oftentimes big thinking is counterintuitive. It goes against your intuition, but you hopefully have a deep knowing that this is something that people actually want to buy and this is something that I can sell easily for the next couple of years. So yes, big thinking is very important. I also love new thinking, coming up with new ideas, but these new ideas, you want to apply that, at the front stage of your business. Like if you have 5,000 followers on Instagram and you have a successful business, you do like 100 or 200,000. If you would have 50,000 followers on Instagram, could you be making 1 million or 2 million? Would that be a possibility? Of course. But if you stay stuck at the 5,000 follower level on Instagram because you just keep on making new product and sell those to your current following, you will never really break through. Like, what author do you follow? Or what's a famous author? Well, the most famous authors, they didn't release 60 books and sold it to 100 people. No, they created a couple of books, maybe one book, and they just broke through. Or maybe they did create multiple books and then one book really broke through and they stuck at it for years and years and years. Or if you go to like the bigger gurus or whatever, they oftentimes have this one thing that they're teaching and they just blow up. Like for example, Tony Robbins, like this guy, like in the personal development space, there's the guy, Tony, and then there's nothing, and then there's the rest. Why? Because he's been staying focused on what's working for him. And what's working for him, obviously, is, for example, UPW, his front-end seminar, and then he has 2 or 3 back-end seminars, like Date with Destiny and Business Mastery. Those are the 2 bigger back-end seminars, but he focused on that for years and years and years as well. And of course, he does different other things, but millions and millions and millions of people have followed that, and he's been creative on the front end. He's been very solid on the back end. So success leaves clues. And what's working, how can you double down on what's working instead of like doing all these different things? So don't confuse big thinking. Let me put it this way. Don't confuse being distracted, or don't confuse being too fragmented with big thinking. Big thinking oftentimes is just deleting what's not working and going all in what's working.